I believe that in many parts of our country, because of employers who exploit undocumented workers and drive down wages, there are job losses. And I think we should be honest about that. There are people who have been pushed out of jobs in factories and meat processing plants and all kinds of settings. And I meet them. You know, I was in Atlanta last night, and an African-American man said to me, I used to have a lot of construction jobs, and now it just seems like the only people who get them anymore are people who are here without documentation. So I know that what we have to do is to bring our country together to have a comprehensive immigration reform solution. That is the answer. And it is important that we make clear to Kim and people who are worried about this that that is actually in the best interests of those who are concerned about losing their jobs or already have. Because if we can tighten our borders, if we can crack down on employers who exploit workers, both those who are undocumented and those who are here as citizens or legal, if we can do more to help local communities cope with the costs that they often have to contend with, if we do more to help our friends to the South create more jobs for their own people, and if we take what we know to be the realities that we confront, 12 to 14 million people here, what will we do with them? Well, I hear the voices from the other side of the aisle. I hear the voices on TV and radio, and they are living in some other universe, talking about deporting people, rounding them up. I don't agree with that, and I don't think it's practical. And therefore, what we've got to do is to say, come out of the shadows. We will register everyone. We will check, because if you have committed a crime in this country or the country you came from, then you will not be able to stay. You will have to be deported. But for the vast majority of people who are here, we will give you a path to legalization if you meet the following conditions. Pay a fine because you entered illegally. Be willing to pay back taxes over time. Try to learn English, and we have to help you do that because we've cut back on so many of those services. And then you wait in line. That not only is, I think, the best way to approach the problem of our 12 to 14 million who are here, but that also says to Kim, Kim, this is the best answer as well, because once we have those conditions met and people agree, then they will not be in a labor market that undercuts anybody else's wages.
Senator.
And therefore, it's imperative we approach it this way only after people have agreed to these conditions, Doyle, and that they have been willing to say, yes, they will meet those conditions. Do I think we ought to talk about privileges like driver's licenses? Because otherwise, I think you will further undermine the labor market for people like the ones Kim is referring to. We need to solve this problem, not exacerbate it, and that's what I intend to do as president.
Were you missing in action when Senator Obama and Senator McCain and Senator Kennedy started formulating comprehensive immigration reform?
Well, actually, I co-sponsored comprehensive immigration reform in 2004 before Barack came to the Senate. So I have been on record on behalf of this for quite some time. And, you know, representing New York, the homeland with the Statue of Liberty, bringing all of our immigrants to our shores has been not only an extraordinary privilege, but given me the opportunity to speak out on these issues. When the House of Representatives passed the most mean-spirited provision that said if you were to give any help whatsoever to someone here illegally, you would commit a crime, I stood up and said that would have criminalized the Good Samaritan and Jesus Christ himself. I have been on record on this against this kind of demagoguery, this mean-spiritedness, and you know, it is something that I take very personally, because I have not only worked on behalf of immigrants, I have been working to make conditions better for many years. I was so honored to get the farm workers endorsement last week, because for so many years I have stood with farm workers who do some of the hardest work there is anywhere in our country. So we may be looking at the immigration reform issue as a political issue, and it certainly has been turned into one by those who I think are undermining the values of America. It is a serious question. We have to fix this broken system. But let's do it in a practical, realistic approach. Let's bring people together. And I think as as president, I can. You know, I've been going to town halls all over America, and I see the people out there, thousands of them who come to hear me, and you know, they're nervous about immigration, and for the reasons that the economy isn't working for people. The average American family has lost $1,000 in income. They're looking for some explanation as to why this is happening. And they often ask exactly the kind of question that Kim asked, with a real edge or a real, you know, amount of anxiety in their voice. And then I ask them, well, what would you do? If you want to round up and deport people, how many tens of thousands of federal law enforcement officials would that take?
All right.
And how much authority would they have to be given to knock on every door of every business and every home? I don't think America
Senator,
so we have to get realistic and practical about this.
Very quickly, Senator, why not then, if you're that passionate about it, let them get driver's licenses?
Well, we disagree on this. I do not think that it is either appropriate to give a driver's license to someone who is here undocumented, putting them, frankly, at risk, because that is clear evidence that they are not here legally. And I believe it is a diversion from what should be the focus at creating a political coalition with the courage to stand up and change the immigration system.
Yeah, the only point I would make is Senator Clinton, gave a number of different answers over the course of 6 weeks on this issue, and that did appear political. Now, at this point, she's got a clear position, but it took a while. And, I'm just being, just in fairness, initially in a debate you said you were for it. Then you said you were against it. And the only reason I bring that up is to underscore the fact that this is a difficult political issue. Now, from my perspective, I agree with Bill Richardson that there is a public safety concern here, and that we're better off, because I don't want a bunch of hit-and-run drivers because they're worried about being deported, and so they don't report an accident. That is a judgment call. But I do think it is important to recognize that this can be tough, and the question is, who is going to tackle this problem and solve it? Many of the solutions that Senator Clinton just talked about are solutions that I agree with, that I've been working on for many years, and my suspicion is, whatever our differences, we're going to have big differences with the Republicans, but I think a practical, common-sense solution to the problem is what the American people are looking for.
Well, I just have to correct the record for 1 second, because obviously we do agree about the need to have comprehensive immigration reform. And if I recall, about a week after I said that I would try to support my governor, although I didn't agree with it personally, you were asked the same question and could not answer it. So this is a difficult issue. And both of us have to recognize that it is not something that we easily come to, because we share a lot of the same values. We want to be fair to people. We want to respect the dignity of every human being, every person who is here. But we are trying to work our way through to get to where we need to be, and that is to have a united Democratic Party with fair-minded Republicans who will join us to fix this broken immigration system.
All right.